Yesterday's crash of this single-engine otter on a lake near Kenora, Ontario, claimed the lives of 5 American fishermen and their Canadian pilot.
The rugged shoreline around
Recovery of the
Campbell
bodies
River was
is
still
underway.
shrouded in fog the morning after the crash of a seaplane northwest of the airport. 8 people died.
The survivors
instantly.
scrambled free of the Cessna 185 as it went under. It was kept from sinking directly to the
Indian
bottom by its
community of
buoyant floats.
Klemtu. It was Monday morning when it crashed. 5 people were on board. All 5 died.
Each year, seaplane accidents in Canada exact a terrible toll. On average, 30 people are killed, 100 more are injured, and costs in aircraft damaged or destroyed and public liability exceed $20 million. To explore the underlying safety issues affecting this vital transportation industry, we will talk to seaplane pilots and operators from across Canada.
The young pilot starting out, especially with a fresh float rating, you're coming on with basically a license to learn. I've got over 4,000 hours now, and I'm still learning.
Day after day, flying becomes a routine. There is a lack of attention, and that can lead to an accident in bad weather or because of a heavy flight schedule.
First 100 hours are dangerous, and then the next 900 are dangerous, because when they figure they got 100 hours under their belt, they got her, you know. And then they'll bite you. You'll get bitten. You know, just get too cocky, too confident.
Transportation Safety Board studies conclude that seaplanes are experiencing an accident rate nearly double that of land-based aircraft. What are the factors contributing to this unacceptable accident rate?
It's more difficult flying than actual wheel flying. I mean, when you come into a runway, you know what runway you're supposed to be on. You have your crosswind component. It's strictly fly by the numbers when you're wheel flying. While float flying, you don't have that. You're on your own at all times. You have to make all your own decisions.
The seaplane pilot is all by himself in the bush. He faces obstacles, lakes, rivers, updrafts, downdrafts. Many of the situations encountered in the bush are never encountered at an airport.
There's always a situation out there that will get you when you're flying floats. There's so many variables involved. There's in crosswinds, currents. There's stuff that's going to get you.
We spend a lot of time taxiing and docking, but that doesn't kill people. Running into rocks and turning planes upside down is what kills people.
You're a guest of Mother Nature in her environment when you go out there. And she'll give you clues and signs that maybe you're not welcome on this particular day, maybe with fog or maybe with wind or icing, or if she doesn't want you there, she's going to tell you.
There was a very black rain squall ahead of me, so we landed in the lee side of an island and taxied around the water for about 15 minutes. Looked up the channel, and the rain had gone away. The visibility was picked up to 5 or 7 miles. Took off, headed up Petrel Channel, went into the channel. It makes a dog leg, and just about halfway up the channel hit an extreme wind shear downdraft, and the airplane was slammed into the water.
Obviously, seaplane flying is not a practice to be taken lightly. So what training is required to become a seaplane pilot? Is it enough?
To expect that in a 5-hour training program that you're going to teach a float plane pilot enough to handle all the situations he's likely to encounter is unrealistic.
More than likely, these minimums should be increased. We consider that our 70-hour course gives our students barely enough experience to seek employment with an operator.
At the college, we do 25 hours over a 2-week period, and even with 25 hours of training, I don't always feel that I've spent enough time on each individual objective that we're trying to meet.
Take them where they shouldn't go as part of the training. In other words, get into a bit of real-world weather and some heavy water, some difficult winds, because most of the time trainees don't get exposed to that.
After I crashed and after I was met a bunch of my old pals who've been flying around the Prince Rupert area all their lives. Every one of them told me a horror story they'd had happen to them in Petrel Channel. You know, like I've spent most of my time on the coast and the mid-coast and very little in the Prince Rupert area where this crash happened. Local knowledge can't be overstressed.
You have to stay with it, and it takes a long time to learn. I don't think you can't learn it overnight. You can't learn it out of a book.
The scope of training can vary widely. However, all pilots seem to agree. Changes are necessary to ensure adequately trained seaplane pilots. When a pilot does earn his seaplane rating, what pressures confront him?
The pressure from passengers is enormous. It really is. The passenger immediately says, oh, the other guys all do it, and they all do it from here, from there. And they would like to follow the route of the other pilots, and they will often be talked into doing things they should not be doing.
The pressure on new pilots comes mainly from the job itself. The wish to please their new boss, the fear of leaving some of the load behind, or of confronting some bad weather. The main pressure is caused by the need to make a name for themselves, to prove themselves in the marketplace.
That pressure is there, and particularly in some companies with young guys that are just starting, they want to prove themselves.
I find I've had customers where I've said, the weather's marginal, I'll try for you, but at any time I feel uncomfortable, I'll turn back. And I find usually the customers are more uncomfortable than I am. They say, let's go back.
Often cited as contributing to seaplane crashes is overloading or incorrect loading.
There was a time when it was the norm that you'd load them till you had a certain number of rivets showing, and that was the load. The 6 guys, they all don't need to bring 6 of everything. Instead of taking in 20 cases of beer, bring in 3 or 4, cut the load down some.
Many years ago, where we were expected to fly at near or above gross weight, or many times above gross weight, in weather conditions that were less than ideal, in aircraft that were less than perfectly maintained.
The loads are kept within limits, and it's a lot better. The planes perform the way they're supposed to.
Seaplane operators also face pressures.
It's a challenge in the float business nowadays. It's a very short season, and we always say you got to make hay while the sun shines, and to try and do it, so that everybody's happy and you're not exhausted and that you are flying safely.
You're dealing with an environment where you've only got 3 to maybe 4 months to make your living. So every day that you don't fly, it's money you don't make.
Insurance is a major part of our expenses for the year. That, maintenance, and gas are the 3 biggest things.
High costs, pressures of time, customers, and the weather. Is safety awareness fading under the strain? The accident record for seaplanes is alarming the insurance industry.
Over the past 4 years, we have insured an average of 1,600 float aircraft a year. The claims that we've paid out for those aircraft exceed the premium generated by $2.5 million. For every 100 aircraft we insure, 6 of them are crashing.
When I purchased my aircraft, the insurance company required me to take 25 hours with a supervising instructor on floats and 25 hours as a solo pilot before taking aboard my first passenger, a total of 50 hours.
Transportation Safety Board studies reveal that many accident victims are relatively uninjured, but are unable to exit the wreckage and drown. Controversy surrounds the design and use of shoulder harnesses.
The latest I've heard on them is if we do have an accident with that extra strap coming over the back, people are going to get wound up in that, and it's going to hinder escapement out of the back.
Just because it works for the commercial airlines doesn't mean it works for us.
Personally, due to my large size, when I fly a 185, once buckled up, I can't reach my controls.
I like the shoulder harness. I don't like the one that comes across this way. I much prefer the one that comes around and just goes into the buckle.
If they were a simpler thing, just throw it over your shoulder, snap it together, and gone, I think they'd be received much better.
If I don't quite make it to a lake if something goes wrong, it's going to keep me hopefully out of the dash and give me better control of the airplane.
Over the years, we had a couple of accidents and we lost 2 pilots. I am convinced that had they used the proper shoulder harness, these pilots would be here alive talking with us today.
In the event an accident does happen, your flight could become a fight for survival.
It was quite a shock the first time we went upside down underwater and you're actually hanging there. It's quite a shock. So it's just a matter of knowing your cockpit, how your doors operate. And you know, when you give the briefing, you always make a special note now when the passengers, you have their attention that this is how the doors operate.
On your left hand, you hold on to either the door handle or the door post or something on the left-hand side, and you don't let go. With your right hand, you undo, your belt buckles, toss your headset off or whatever you have to do, and follow your left hand out.
The gentleman that was killed there, they're quite sure that they couldn't find the doors, and this is why we do a good briefing, which we are instructed to brief, and I try to make it quite clear to my people. But when you are inverted in an upward situation, it's tough, and you only get out of that airplane if you get out with what's on you. You don't even get time for a life jacket.
Accessibility to the life jackets is and was extremely important. And in this particular case, they were very easy to reach. Unfortunately, I took 2, stuck them in Furley's lap, and only 1 made it to the surface. And the reason was I didn't have time to do much with them. We were going down so fast.
The placement and use of life jackets fuels the controversy.
I have taken the habit of wearing them this year, and I require my passengers to wear life jackets because nobody has been able to convince me that in an inverted plane one is able to find his life jacket and put it on.
It's impossible. It has been demonstrated that one must have it on before the impact.
You put a life jacket on every occupant of the airplane and it goes inverted, and now you've got more things for them to get hung up on. They panic, they pull the thing, they inflate it, they're now up against the ceiling.
In some situations, the pilot could require his passengers to wear a life jacket and wear one himself. But to make it mandatory to wear it for takeoff and landing, I think that for bush flying it's practically impossible.
For those that managed to escape the sinking aircraft, there is still the threat of hypothermia.
I would say close to 45 minutes after entering the water, my 99-pound wife died. And I would guess that an hour and a half of total submersion, total time in the water, the other fella lost consciousness and died. Had there been a life raft in this hatch, had I been able to open it, with cold hands, you'd have to have something other than a Zeus vest. Say if there'd been a stainless steel ring, if you'd been able to open the hatch, pull out a life raft, there'd be 3 people standing here instead of 1.
Accident prevention is certainly preferable to crash survival. The health and future of the seaplane industry depends on it. Some of the best advice for improving safety comes from pilots.
Wherever you go, whatever you do, ask questions. Ask your peers. Ask another pilot that has been there what to look for. Don't think you know it all.
And the most important thing is wherever you work, seek out the older aviators and seek out their advice. Because there's guys around here with 20,000 hours, and if they're still alive after 20,000 hours, then they know what they're doing.
I personally think that most of the seaplane accidents are caused by inadequate training. The basic training is too short, and in addition, they're not taking seasonal training. With a refresher course in the spring, we would probably eliminate most of these accidents.
I think a guy has to come to work with an attitude of, safety in mind all around. You can't be a hot dog. You can't be, you can't be cocky.
Fly, 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 and fly a lot in all weather conditions accompanied by another pilot before heading into the bush in solo. With 20 to 25 hours of training, you may have only flown in ideal weather, but in real life, it is not always like that.
So just don't think, because you've got yourself a couple of thousand hours under your belt, that you know it all. Mother Nature will teach you a new lesson just as fast as you can imagine it.
It's a license to learn.